Good evening. Bikie boss and accused drug kingpin Mark Buddle has finally faced court after a top-secret operation to bring him to Melbourne. While the charges he faces there are serious, he may have even bigger questions to answer in Sydney.
High-flying bikie boss Mark Buddle escorted onto a chartered passenger jet rented exclusively for his extradition to Melbourne. Chris Reason, 7 News.
A man is in police custody tonight, charged over a shocking triple murder on a remote Queensland cattle farm. A couple and their adult son were all shot dead, allegedly over a dispute about a property boundary line. Police say the 59-year-old suspect invited the family to meet at the edge of his property 45 minutes away when he opened fire.
It's just a devastating shock that things can happen so quickly in the blink of an eye, and to ruin so many lives so quickly.
Yes, the sole survivor drove 40 kilometres to get help and is recovering in hospital after undergoing emergency surgery. Well, the John Barilaro job saga will heat up on Monday when the former Deputy Premier himself is grilled at the parliamentary inquiry. Meanwhile, Labor's revealed if it gets into power, that job will be gone.
Proactive politics.
There's just no justification for these positions.
Labor leader Chris Minns.
Well, we're being warned Australia's bulk billing system is now at risk of collapse. GPs saying Medicare payments aren't covering their costs. Already more and more doctors are turning their backs on free medicine and bringing in gap fees.
Until now, it's always been free to see Dr. Fan.
If we continue to be universal bulk billing, the reality is that we won't be here in the near future.
To keep his doors open, a standard week. Tom Hartley, 7 News.
Vaccinations for monkeypox will soon be rolled out across the state. New South Wales Health will prioritise high-risk communities as they set to begin a targeted vaccination program from Monday. The federal government has secured 450,000 doses of the vaccine. So far, only 33 cases have been identified in New South Wales. All but 2 were acquired overseas. Well, the Tamil asylum seeker family at the centre of a 4-year immigration battle has won the right to permanently call Australia home. The Department of Home Affairs visited the family today, telling them they've been granted permanent visas. In photos released by their supporters, they can be seen smiling, you can see it from here, receiving the good news. They returned to Billawheeler in Queensland in June after their community campaign to let them stay. Still to come, there's calls for peace as China fires missiles into Japanese waters. How will the world respond? A man goes on a bizarre rampage with a boomerang. See the video. And a little later, a volcano roars to life in Iceland, delighting tourists. Begun its push to establish Australia as a renewable energy powerhouse, proposing locations for a number of offshore wind farms. They could quite literally be on the horizon, off the Hunter and Illawarra.
A single rotation of these blades can power an average house for 24 hours. The winds of change in the energy market. Mark Riley, 7 News.
Some videos emerged of a wild road rage attack. An enraged driver beating a car with 2 boomerangs after a crash. The shirtless man, well, first starts attacking the window with the weapon, then smashes it in with his bare hands.
You need to got the vaccine, didn't both of you? You both got the vaccine and it's lost a line.
Yes, it's not yet known if the incident has been reported to police. Well, before we show you this next story, though, a warning that some of you may find the vision confronting. A car has ploughed through traffic before bursting into flames in Los Angeles. As you can see, the black Mercedes went through the intersection at high speed, sending other cars flying. At least 5 people were killed, including a pregnant woman. Another 2 adults and 6 children were also injured. World leaders are calling for peace tonight after China launched a series of missiles in an unprecedented military manoeuvre. Some were fired over Taiwan, hitting Japanese waters instead.
The pictures China wants the world to see. Ballistic missile launches that have sent tensions soaring.
Bowling tonight at the Newcastle Knights, leaving the newly appointed football director with a lot on his hands. Peter Parr is desperate to patch up a dispute involving former Blues enforcer David Klemmer, as well as claims of racism against an Indigenous player.
Newcastle in damage control.
It's been an unfortunate week and in some ways an uncomfortable week.
Michelle Bishop, 7 News.
Reports that Buddy Franklin is joining the Brisbane Lions next season is news to, well, the Lions. It seemed business as usual for Franklin this morning, though, as the Swans prepared to take on North Melbourne. Brisbane coach Chris Fagan believes the 36-year-old would only uproot his life to Queensland to be closer to his wife's family on the Gold Coast if he was maybe retiring. That's led Fags to speculate that he may well just do that. Franklin is in the 9th and final year of his blockbuster contract with the Swans and is without a deal for next season. That's your night in sport. Kirstie's back with a look at what Mother Nature has in store for your weekend. And Dean has taken this one. Look at the reflections out there at Camden Haven. You got one? All photos at 7.com.au. At your national weather details for your weekend with Kirstie. How's it looking, Kirstie?
Not too bad for most of us, Dan. Good evening to you and hello again, everyone. We do still have a number of troughs and fronts that are tracking across New South Wales towards the east. They are bringing showers and those gusty winds into the weekend and early next week. Cloudy at times, a clearing shower or two, but we are keeping an eye on this next trough due to arrive towards the middle of next week. It will form to a low pressure system and will return showers to much of southeastern parts of the state. Now that system will likely bring heavier rainfall. We are starting to see bits of it on our rainfall map at the moment. The southwest and parts of the northwest could see upwards of 50 millimetres of rain. Elsewhere though, looking drier in the west, no more than a millimetre or two, and the same for the coast. We could see up to 15 millimetres or so. Tonight though, damaging winds do remain a risk. There is a severe weather warning for damaging winds in place for parts of the Snowy Mountains, the south coast, the southern tablelands as well as the Illawarra. It does also cover southern parts of the ACT and southern parts of the central tablelands as well. Taking a look across the state tomorrow now, in the north, regions like Tamworth and Inverell expecting a couple of millimetres of rain under otherwise partly cloudy skies. Mild temperatures around 17 degrees, 15 on the way for Coonabarabran, a little drier there. If we track towards the coast, plenty of sunshine on the way for Kempsey with a top of 26 degrees. Newcastle, a sunny day and 21. Further inland for parts of the central tablelands, there are still a number of flood watches in place. We do also have several rivers across the central tablelands and parts of the southwest that do have flooding occurring at the moment, keeping an eye on those across the weekend. Wagga expecting a cool at 12 degrees. Onto the national picture now. Showers are forecast to develop in Melbourne tomorrow, 15 degrees. Late showers on the way for Perth with a top of 18. Cairns nice and sunny though, 30 degrees. And if you're travelling to Sydney, partly cloudy skies and a top of 20. Not looking too bad for our Saturday, Dan.
Good on you, Kirstie. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for that. Before we go, check this next story out. A volcano in Iceland near the capital's airport has erupted for just the second time in 6,000 years. The bubbling lava is being closely monitored by officials and tourists who are at times getting dangerously close to the action.
The colour, the intensity, the spectacle is mesmerising. Luring people in close. Sarah Greenhalgh, 7 News.
Isn't it amazing, isn't that? 6 months. That's your news for this Friday, the 5th of August. Thanks so much again for your company. I'm Daniel Gibson. Till I see you again, have a great weekend. Bye for now.